Hey there, everybody. PTPOP here with Old Four Lobes My Brain, securely bound behind my back. And today I'm going to be reviewing a video about a company called Tele Tech Holdings. And the video is called Tele Tech Exposed. And to give you a little bit of background on Tele Tech Holdings Incorporated is a BPO. And they are a business process outsourcing services company. And what that is, for those of you that don't know about call centers, is they're a company that big companies like Bank of America will hire them, put them on contract to do all their call center work. So big companies like Bank of America will outsource all their call center work so they don't have to build the infrastructure, the building, install the phones, the computers, and deal with all the headache behind actually building a physical call center. So they outsource it to a BPO so they can handle all the headaches of it. And they work out some type of financial and contractual agreement between the two companies. And the company was founded in 1982. Tele Tech was founded in 1982. It's headquartered in Englewood, Colorado. Their CEO is Kenneth Tuchman. In 2010, this is from Forbes.com, his salary was $6 million, just a little over $6 million. I checked recently, and it's just about the same. It's about $6.1 million now. He got a teeny tiny raise. In 2007, he was ranked as the 799th richest person in the world with a net worth of $1.2 billion. And I checked again, his net worth is about the same, and his rankings among the rich has fallen a little bit. T-Tech, or Tele Tech, trades on the stock market with the ticker symbol of T-Tech, that's TTEC, and today or yesterday it was trading at $33.64 a share. So what I wanted to do is to discuss this video. The video is called Tele Tech Exposed, and basically this video, what it looks like is that a guy went in to try to unionize the call center, and he got 6 former employees to go on camera and talk about the atrocities within the walls of the Tele Tech call center. And I think he was using this as ammunition to go into the Call Center Workers of America, I think it's called the CWA, and build a case saying, hey, we have all of these atrocities going on. We have low wages. We have a poor work environment. We have a high turnover. And here's the proof, people going on camera to say this stuff. That's what I think the video is. I don't know what other purpose it strives for. But let me first start off a little bit about Tele Tech and the CEO, and then we'll go from there. Now, this is Tele Tech's website, and I think it's kind of pukety-puke-puke up here. That up in the left-hand corner, it says, T-Tech, 40 years of smiles. Oh, help me, please. I can't take it. Pukety puke puke, right? 40 years of smiles, everyone. What does Oingo Boingo think? Yay, Oingo Boingo's happy. Oingo Boingo's happy? Who's happy? You're happy. That's right, everybody. Oingo Boingo's my buddy. We're like bread and butter. So, here's their executive team, and I'm not going to go into all the people here. But Kenneth Tuchman is the head honcho there. And Kenneth Tuchman founded T-Tech in 1982 with the goal of humanizing the customer experience. Under his leadership, the company has become one of the largest global providers of digital customer experience technology and services. With more than 65,000 employees on 6 continents, Mr. Tuchman has served as chairman of the board since 1994, etc., so on and so forth. So let's take a look at Mr. Tuchman's background on LinkedIn. Yay, there's Kenneth. Hey, Kenneth. Customer obsessed, digitally empowered, outcome focused. Dun dun dun. So Mr. Tuchman, see, where did he go to college? So I looked through here and I couldn't find that Mr. Tuchman went to college. Mr. Tuchman, he's an entrepreneur, which is a nice way of saying he dropped out of college. He dropped out of high school or something. He's a chairman of CEO of T-Tech since 1982. Board member, Oh, looky here. Well, isn't this special? 1971 to 73 for 2 years in Woodland Hills, California. He was a shop assistant in Allied Bicycles. Whoa, wow, isn't that cool? Then in 1973, he left here for probably a promotion here to the shop assistant at Surfboards by Kennedy. 1973 to 75, 2 years. He's a surfer dude, guys. Surfer. Surfs up, dudes.
Surfing's not a sport. It's a way of life, no hobby. It's a way of looking at that wave and saying, hey, bud, let's party.
Let's go catch a wave. So somehow, Mr. Tuckman went from surfing on the beaches of California to becoming CEO of one of the most prominent BPOs in the world. Not certain how that happened. He must have had some connections in high places. But don't get me wrong. He's probably just a go-getter. But that is Mr. Tuckman in a nutshell. So what I'm going to do here, start off with, you've got a little history of the company. Let me start off with one of their propaganda films that they've created here. This is called Teamwork at T-Tech, and it's only 55 seconds long. The happy music. Boom. Boom.
It has to be the people. The people are truly the company. We set the tone, we set the pace. So it is just pleasurable.
So you notice they start the video with an African-American gentleman because they're pushing, you guessed it, diversity, right, Oingo Boingo? Pink monsters are available too. Okay, well, is he comfortable in here? It's important that Oingo Boingo's comfortable, isn't it? Where's your tail? Oh, there's his tail. Smells like poop.
Coming to work every day, knowing that I'm going to see my colleagues and we're going to be able to work together, help the customers together, get better together. That's what it's all about, the people.
That would have to be teamwork because you learn to work together towards common goals.
I bet you she likes to eat together. How many donuts and pieces of pizza do you think she has in that lunch bag? Yeah.
Goals, whether it's solving a technical problem, having some friendly competition to achieve the goals, or just helping build confidence with your team to do a great job.
When I come to work, everybody's so positive. The way that T-Tech values its employees, I just love that.
Okay, that's all bullshit. As I said in other videos, especially my previous videos, that not everybody's positive in a corporate environment because you've got egos and you've got moods and you've got people who have agendas and they want to get ahead and they'll stab you in the back and kick you in the balls so they can get promoted. So that's all bullshit. So let's move on now to let's show you what Call Center Workers of America is. This is a well-known call center union, Call Center Workers United. I'm sorry, I keep calling it CWA, Call Center Workers of America. This is Call Center Workers United, and they're basically a call center union. The Call Center Workers of America is a union made up of 700,000 workers across the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico. Members work in many different industries, from small business to large corporations like Maximus, as well as state, local, and county governments. It's the largest union representing customer service professionals. So this video I'm going to show you, Tele Tech Exposed, I believe this is the campaign they're using to try to get the CCWU, I guess it would be called Call Center, or they call it CWA, to agree to try to unionize their shop or their call center. So this starts off, there's 6 people they interview in here, and they start off with this woman. I'm not going to go over every single interview because the guy doing the interview, and this is posted by a gentleman by the name of John. That's the name of his channel, and he hasn't posted anything in a long time. This video is from 2012. It was created in 2011, so it's old. But it reinforces all the points that I've said about working in call centers, how horrible it is to work in a call center. So let me blow this up big. Gonna blow it up big. And we'll start off with Tele Tech here. Boom. Now, I don't agree with this statement that it's a feel-good term the company uses to describe its call center business model. BPO is an industry standard term used throughout the world, and there's multiple BPOs around the world. Tele Tech isn't the only one, and it's not used just by Tele Tech. And it's not a feel-good term. It's a euphemism or an acronym they use in the industry. Instead of saying an outsourced company, or instead of saying we're offshoring things, they call it a BPO. It's a way of softening it up and hiding behind an acronym to confuse the general public and the people that don't know what it really is. Usually a BPO is offshore. Usually a BPO is like in the Philippines. And Tele Tech, a lot of their call centers are in the Philippines. Not a lot of them are here in the U.S., but a lot of them are in the Philippines. So this is a picture of Tele Tech's call center, and it apparently is in a strip mall somewhere. And right next door to Tele Tech is the food bank. And the food bank is called Flathead Food Bank, and this is a place where people who are low income or have no money can come and get food for free. Or with food stamps. I'm not certain. I'm pretty sure it's free. But here it is. This is the Flathead Food Bank, visiting Flathead Food Bank. And let's do the about thing here. Everyone in our community deserves to know where and how they will get their next meal. So basically, hunger in the Flatbed Valley is becoming an increasingly alarming and detrimental factor in the development and well-being of children, adults, and seniors in the community. And I'm not going to go too deep into this, but you can, more or less, you can tell point blank that these are boxes and boxes of food. It's for people that have no money. And I know about this because when we were poor and my dad was on the bottle and my mom was on the bottle, the county would bring us food to our door. They brought us food to our door at Christmas time and at Thanksgiving. They brought a big frozen turkey and canned goods. Canned goods we never ate. You know, it was like I remember it was this 2 cans of carrots, canned carrots we had. And I was like 5 years old, and the county would come in and they bring me toys. And there were these old crappy broken toys. I remember this big crappy metal train. So it's for really poor people. Okay, so they're just showing here that the call center reps back in 2011 were only making $9.75 an hour, and back then that's really bad because when I was at Verizon, when was I at Verizon? I was there from like 2009 to 2011 or 2011 to 2000, something like that. I was making almost $13 an hour if I wasn't making 13. So this is really piss poor hourly rate. And what they do with this call center is you have to meet 3 metrics. You have to be there on time. You have to, if you have credit card accounts, you're in credit cards, you have to upsell people to credit cards. And the third metric was something else. They'll get to it here. But if you meet those 3 metrics, you can get a 75-cent hour raise. But they make it so hard and impossible to meet the metrics. No one ever gets the raise. But here we go. And they're in Kalispell, Montana. And I wanted to talk about this too. I'm sorry. Kalispell, Montana. This is their overall spreadsheet. This is from areavibes.com. Their livability is 66, amenities A+, livability C-, real estate C-. Sorry, not real estate. Amenities, cost of living C-, crime, it's a fairly high crime area. Employment, it gets a D. Rental and housing is an F. Demographics, schools get a C. I don't know what user ratings are. Cost of living, the average salary in Kalispell is $55,900 a year. The average hourly rate, this is as of today in 2023, is $27. The median household income is $47,750. Median house price is $242,500, and state taxes are the 11th highest in the nation. So people are getting taxed at their wazoo, if I'm reading that right. And I do believe that Kalispell, which is where the call center is located, only has like 25,000 people in it. So just to give you an idea, these are the kind of people that work in this city. They're poor, they're impoverished. There's a lot of single parents, and it's a rough crowd. It's a group of people that are just trying to make ends meet, like the rest of us. But I think they're a little bit more down on their luck than the rest of us.
How long were you with Tele Tech?
I was with Tele Tech for about 4 months.
And how many people were in your training group when you started?
I think there was about 20 in my first class in deposits, and then there was about 21 or 22 that was in my credit card class.
And of the people that were in your first class of the deposits, how many were left after the 6 weeks of training?
After the 6 weeks of training, I think we had about 15 people left. And then when I went over to card services a month and a half later, there was only 6 of us that was left out of that class. And then also my credit card class, we all just kind of got lost. There was the 20-something of us, and I think one person got left out of that credit card class at the end of nesting.
How much was your starting pay at the company?
It started at $9.75.
And do you feel $9.75 is a living wage for the Kalispell area?
No, I do not. I especially having children, $9.75 isn't an adequate wage with the way that pricing is around here with housing and gas prices going up. I honestly think that about $14 an hour is a good wage for a call center and dealing with the stuff that you have to deal with at Tele Tech.
Okay. Now, explain to me how the company's performance-based pay works. The performance-based raises specifically.
When I was working there, it was based on the attendance, pretty much just you being there on time and when you were supposed to be there. I think it was accountability, the accounted time on the phone calls. You had like a certain specific call time. So if you went on a break and you were on a phone call late, you had that accounted time that you had to write in why. So if you go to the bathroom and you don't have permission, you have unaccounted time on the phone. And so based on that, that also kind of averages on whether your raise goes up or down. And then when I worked there, it was also based on your queues, which was those surveys that they give to the customers. And then based on how many 100% queues you actually had for the month would be based on if you got a raise or not.
So queues are those things that all of us that have worked in call centers have been a slave to, and they're basically surveys. So when you call into a call center, you get the audio attendant, and it says, at the end of this call, if you'd like to fill out a survey about your experience with XYZ company, press 1. So when you're finished with the call center rep, they forward you to an electronic system that'll have you take a survey. On a scale of 1 to 10, how well did this person handle your call, and how friendly were they, and how professional were they? And then on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you like, Tele Tech or whoever the company is? And what happens is, a lot of times when you get these people who are pissed off and do not like your company, I experienced this a lot at Verizon. And when I first got there, we did not have the iPhone. AT&T was the only carrier to have the iPhone. And these people call in furious with us that we didn't have the iPhone yet. So at the end of my call, they'd fill out a survey. And like a week or two later, I'd get my boss, the zippity-doo-dah guy, the black guy that was like Bill Cosby that was always playing golf. Oh, oinka boinka went down my shirt, damn it. You fresh little bastard. Oh. So you get these surveys and your boss will pull you aside and say, we got these surveys, I want to go over them with you, and he'd sit down with you and he'd show you the survey and say this customer gave you like 8s out of 10. And I said, well, that's pretty good. And they said, no, it's not. The only way you can pass these is to get all 10s. And they had to write notes saying your company sucks because you don't have the iPhone. And that's why I gave the company like a 0. So I'd have all 8s and 9s, and then the how do you rate Verizon was like a 0, because when we didn't have the iPhone, and I would get a failing grade, and I wouldn't get my raise, and I wouldn't get a chance for a promotion. So that's what she's talking about here, because these customers don't know how much these, what they call here at Qs, affect your chances of getting your raises and your promotions. And I shall proceed with that fine definition of Qs.
So how realistic do you feel the 75-cent raise was? Like, how obtainable was it for people?
You know, as far as accountability, you know, for you being there, that's just kind of a natural given. You know, at any job, you kind of have to be there at work. You know, you're there at a specific time, you leave at a specific time, and you make arrangements with management. As far as the queues, you know, when they're doing it, it's not all about your customer service. It's also about Bank of America. And so those don't have to do with you. So if the customer's just unhappy with the bank, they're kind of upset about customer service in general, so they're going to give you a bad queue, and you didn't really do anything. So it's like giving me a raise based on what a customer, you know, says, and giving me a raise based on whether or not I went to the bathroom. I don't think is acceptable. I think that giving a raise should be based on the job performance that you do as an individual.
And I agree with her. This is my argument I had with the zippity-doo-dah guy, the zippity-bee-pop black golf player who dreamed of being Tiger Woods one day. These companies don't see it that way, though. See, what they would do is, what I experienced is the customer would openly state they hated the company because we didn't have the iPhone. The company saw that as my fault. They said that if you had only handled the call better, if you'd only taken care of their needs better, or held their hand more, or been kinder, or tickled their nipples or something, they wouldn't have said that. And so it's almost as if they're using these cues as an excuse to dock you so you don't get promoted, so you don't get the raise. They don't want to hear it. It's a tool that doesn't really define how well the company's doing or how well we're doing. It's a tool utilized to undermine or cut the knees out from each of the reps on the phone. So, and I just don't understand the corporate people at the top don't care. There's somebody in marketing comes up with these surveys, and I don't even know who comes up with them, but they're used as a tool not to really gauge the overall satisfaction of the customer. It's designed as a way to keep the call center reps back and hold them back, and that's what I see it as.
On your customer service skills, especially being that it is a call service center, not a, you know, you're not doing anything else. Even, you know, working at any other place, you get raises based on your customer service skills and how well you do with people and how well you do your job.
What was the ratio of roaming coaches and supervisors to the customer service reps?
It wasn't a very good one.
So this is something I experienced as well. You get on a team and you have about 15 to 30 people on each team on the call center floor. And each team has a supervisor, and the floor will be split up into like quadrants. They'll be broken up into quadrants, and each quadrant is supposed to have a floor roamer. So maybe there's 3 teams per quadrant. So that's like 120 people. And so you have one person who is walking or roaming the floor that is supposed to be able to answer your questions when you're on the call. So if you get a call from a customer that is especially difficult, you don't know how to find the information for you, you've done all your research on the company's computer or the internet, you don't personally know the information, you raise your hand or they give you little flags and stuff, and the person is supposed to run over and help you. But what happens is, since there's only one person per quadrant of 120 people, they get bogged down. And a lot of these people want to speak to a supervisor. The customers call and say, I want your supervisor. Well, the first point of escalation is the floor roamer. Then if the floor roamer deems it necessary, it goes to the supervisor. So some of these floor roamers will get bogged down on a call with somebody else on the other side of the room, and you have to sit and wait for 20 to 30 minutes before you can get them to come over, which destroys your handle time. If you have an average handle time of 7 minutes, a 30-minute call will destroy your numbers for the day. It's possible to make up that time if you just happen to get a bunch of good calls for the rest of the week, but it's really hard to overcome it. This is what she's referring to here for you newcomers.
say to about the 150, 200 customer service reps on the floor, there was probably 2, 3 coaches, if that.
So that was typical. So it's almost a situation where even on the low end, you would have 1 roaming coach supervisor to maybe 60 or 70 CSRs.
Yep.
And how would that affect the wait times that the customers would have to deal with if you had an issue that you couldn't resolve with them?
I actually had a customer waiting for half an hour before I can get a coach on there because I had just gotten off the floor on nesting and didn't deal with that certain situation, so I definitely needed the help, and it took half an hour to get somebody over there, and they didn't even really, they pretty much told me to tell the customer that I couldn't help them. I didn't know what the problem was.
And that's terrible. I mean, I've had that happen to me too. Just where they just don't know. Or I've had coaches just walk away and say, "Hold on, let me check on," and they don't come back. You can see they leave the floor, and I don't know if they go in the bathroom and cry or something. I don't know what happens to them.
Not a whole lot of support.
No support at all.
And the thing is, this isn't just indigenous to Tele Tech. Everything that these people are going to talk about in this video is not indigenous to Tele Tech. It is not specific to this company and this call center. This is standard across the board for all call centers that I've ever worked in. And I've worked in telecom, I've worked in banking, I worked in insurance, I worked in fundraising, I've worked in everything. And this is the way every single call center is handled across the country, across the board, probably around the world from the people I've talked to here on YouTube. For those of you I've spoken to from the Philippines and from Great Britain, this is just how it works. It's not just indigenous to Tele Tech.
And what exactly is the Spirit Champ?
So the Spirit Champ, let me have her explain what this is, and then I'm going to skip to another guy who defines what a Spirit Champ is in just a delightful way. This other rep is really good at defining what it is.
The Spirit Champ dresses up in funny costumes and different headbands and comes around and boosts the morale and kind of peps everybody up and gets people ready also for that cheer thing that they do when people get little awards.
Okay, so let me scooch down here to this guy.
How long were you with Tele Tech?
About 3.5 months.
Okay. And how many people were in your training group when you started?
The first day there's supposed to be 21. Then I think on the second day only about 17 of them showed up. So
okay.
It's pretty.
So just in the first day or two, you lost a few. And how many?
And that's typical. I've every single training class I've been to, you start off with 30. The second day there's 27. But at the end of 6 weeks, there's maybe 18 left. And after about 6 months to a year on the floor, they're almost all gone. The attrition rate is almost, for every person they bring in, somebody quits. It's just constant turnover.
How many people were left after the 6 weeks of training?
Less, I want to say about 10, maybe 9.
Okay.
Like about half the class was left.
Okay, that's pretty significant. How much was your starting pay at the company?
It would be $9.75 an hour.
And do you feel $9.75?
Qualified for a 25-cent.
Let me skip to the part we talked about the
For
Spirit
any
Coach.
reason that you drop below the.
This guy defines a Spirit Champ just beautifully.
The Spirit Champ is supposed to be a person who leads the team, basically sets an example. They start the team chat, they do a couple other things like coaching or one-on-one, where they would just give hints, pointers, because they're supposed to be the person with the best ranking of the whole team. That's why they get the Spirit Champ Award.
And do the Spirit Champs, do they wear any kind of costumes or clothing? Or
sometimes
like
the TMs will make them wear some rather peculiar clothes. I've actually known a couple of guys there who had to dress up in like with fairy wings and a tutu or wear makeup. Sometimes they would have them, have a tiara on or have a fairy wand in their hand or something like that.
So this is Rose Rogers, and she is what they refer to at Tele Tech as a spirit champ. And these are the people that the previous reps had mentioned who dress up in funny clothing and go out and try to cheer on the reps and give them, high fives and make, with a magic wand and wearing a tutu and stuff. They're like Mr. Oingo Boingo's job. And she goes out there and tries to cheer everybody on. Yay! So this is Rose. Let's hear what she has to say. She doesn't really talk much about being a spirit champ, but she's one of the spirit champs. And this lady she throws me for a loop.
My name is Rose Rogers. I've been at Tele Tech a little over 2 years, and I was recently chosen as a spirit champ from one of my teams.
You can call me Joker.
Awesome. What makes you get up and come to work every day?
Being able to see the people I work with and know that I'm going to...
Did somebody glue her eyelids to her eyebrows?
Take care of my clients in a very positive way, and knowing that my team depends on me.
What is the best thing you like about Tele Tech and why?
Opportunity for growth, both emotional and professional.
I don't blink. Dust gathers on my eyeballs.
And constant source of support.
Awesome. For people interested in working at Tele Tech, how would you describe it to them?
It is a job that you actually get to do good customer service and be able to help your clients. You're able to get constant support and always room for growth for professional advancement.
So I don't want to go on too much with Rose, but she apparently... Sorry, people. I'm sorry. I don't know who thought of this in the corporate world, but I guess this is the corporate world's idea of motivating grown men and women to do their jobs by putting a woman in a fright wig, wearing lots of antique store jewelry around her neck. You got me on this one. I don't know how this is supposed to motivate people. Don't know. I just don't know. I mean, my God, and I'm not laughing because this is true. This is really how it works in a call center. You have grown men and women working in a call center who are there because they've got kids at home, because they're on the brink of homelessness. They're on the brink of living in the streets. They're on the brink of being on food stamps, and they're living in poverty, and they have to just totally humiliate themselves to come work in a call center and come in and be degraded and debased like this. I mean, I just would sit there in these call centers and see these spirit chants. We didn't call them spirit chants, but they had like mascots that would walk the floor and go, shake koosh balls and throw things around and, blow horns and stuff if you got a sale. And I'm sorry, people, I'm a grown-ass man. This is how I want to be treated in a corporation. Pay me a living wage, give me decent health benefits, treat me with dignity, treat me like a human being, and treat me well and give me achievable goals, and I'll come back, and I'll do my best for you. But if you're going to treat me like shit, like a little kid with pizza and koosh balls and Wheel of Fortune spin wheel games where I get bags of chips if I get the right number, and with spirit champs just in fairy wings and tiaras, well, go screw yourselves. I mean, I've been in places where I said, no, I'm not coming back. I just cannot work in this environment. I will not come back to this. It'd probably be better to sit there and panhandle on the street. Why do companies do this? What are you thinking? What is this, this executive group think? Do they even know about this crap? This does not inspire your employees. It does not. It makes you feel horrible. And people will tolerate it because, like they've said, they live in a poverty-stricken area. They're single moms and dads. They got kids. They got to make some money, or they're going to be on the street. It's just crazy crap. So let me switch over to this lady and hear how much turnover she had in her training class. This is Marilyn.
How long were you with Tele Tech?
From August 2010 to December 2011.
Okay, so almost a year and a half. How many people were in your training group when you started?
25 to 30.
Okay, and then after your 6 weeks of training, how many people were left?
2 to 3 people.
2 to 3 people? I mean, I've seen this. I have seen this. And it's just, she had 30 people. There's over 90%. 95% of the people just fucking walked out the door because they knew it was a lunatic asylum. They didn't want to work there. It would better to be at the food bank getting their food with a needle in their arm than anything else. You'd rather not work than work in these places.
So you lost nearly 90%
Yes.
of what you started with. Was that surprising to the 2 or 3 of you that were left?
Yes, it was.
Did you get any comments from your trainer about that, the person who put you through your training group? Did they make any comments about it?
He made comments because it has, he said, do not be surprised because it has happened before.
Where they've lost 90% of the entire group?
Yes.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard trainers say that too. They'll say, well, don't worry about it. Some of the people didn't come back, and they never tell you why. You're sitting next to somebody one day, and then next day they're gone, and you don't know where they went. Like I'd always sit next to somebody and strike up conversations with these people, and then they'd be gone. I'm thinking, well, did they leave because they think I'm a whack job? And maybe because I didn't have Boingo in my life at the time. But the point of this whole video is not just Tele Tech, but to reinforce my arguments over the last 5 or 6 years from making hundreds of videos about call centers, that this is from the mouths of other reps, call center reps who have worked in the call center down the trenches with the rest of us. It's an atrocious job. It's a demoralizing job. They degrade you, they debase you, they underpay you, and they dangle carrots in front of you that you can never, ever grasp. They mind fuck you to death in a call center. And I have seen people succeed. I don't know how those people succeed. I never could figure it out. I consider myself a fairly intelligent guy, but I could never seem to get the things that I wanted there. The reason behind showing this to all of you is because to reinforce what I'm saying, that other people are miserable, that other people are seeing how bad it is, and other people are talking about it, even though this is 11 years old. I don't know what the outcome was of this video. I don't know what the outcome of this was. I don't know if they became unionized. I don't know if there's a way to find out. Here, we'll go to Indeed, my favorite place to look for a job that I never get. Questions and answers. What type of drug screening? Does Tele Tech have a unionized workforce? No, they're not union. This is as of March 2021. Clicked on 2 answers. So I guess they don't. So they are not. So the attempt to unionize failed. And I can tell you this. I'm sure it was beat down. Corporate has people in place. They have basically knee breakers. They have people that will squash a union quick. Well, and it might have been other things too. I don't know what happened here, but I can tell you what happens is I tried to unionize Verizon Wireless's call center. And I called this very call center union, and they said I needed to have people in place that were willing to go on record, and I had to have a show of force. I had to have people that would stand behind me and show that there was a need for a union. And they basically wouldn't talk to me because I didn't have anything like that. And I was going to do like this whole thing, and it petered out because I couldn't get anybody to talk to me about it. So I think what happened here at Tele Tech, if I can guess, if their turnover is that high, people don't last more than a couple of days to maybe a few months. The unions want existing employers to go on camera and to go on record and say how horrible the working environment is, because you can't unionize people that don't work there anymore. So they probably, number one, didn't have enough people to go on record, and people didn't want to be bothered with it. I mean, these are poor people. These are people struggling to get by that need the food for their kids. So I'm guessing their attempt to unionize failed, or it was squashed, or they moved to remove the people who were working there. They found clever ways to dismiss them and get them fired from their jobs. So that's what I have today for Tele Tech. And surfer dude Kenneth Tuckman, I guess you've done yourself well. I hope you're enjoying your leather mistress in Tahiti, and you got some good blow and things like that. But you know, you're not doing yourself any favors by debasing your employees. I don't know how you guys at the top level of these companies get off on it. I don't know if you sit there and you go to your spank bank every night and you think about all the poor, desolate people that work in your call centers, and you get off on treating them like shit. But you must. Each and every one of these people must be sociopathic, psychopaths. I don't know. I'm hypothesizing. I can't say how you go from being a surfer dude to the CEO of a major corporation. But these people all did it. I mean, they weren't all surfer dudes. This guy was. I don't know about Dave or Adam or Judy, but, you know, we've all been there. It's an atrocious working environment, and the sad part of it is it doesn't need to be. It's that way by design for some reason. So it must be cheaper for them to run a sinking ship where the turnover is 1 for 1, and it's cheaper to keep re-employing people and retraining them over and over and over again like an endless nightmare in hell than it is to keep qualified people on staff. Because you would think, this is what I would think, if you were a company and you truly cared about your customers, like they portray, like the 40 years of smiles. See, the only people smiling in this company in the 40 years of smiles here are these schmucks. 40 years of smiles from Ken Tuckman, who used to be sitting there catching a wave on the Pacific Ocean off the west coast of America. These are 40 years of smiles right here. The employees aren't smiling. The customers aren't smiling. If they really wanted the employees to smile and they really wanted the customers to be happy, they would create a working environment that was conducive to being happy, but they don't. You would get rid of the cheerleading clowns on the team. You would get rid of these ridiculous goals and metrics. You would pay them a real wage. You would train them real training, ongoing training, at least 6 weeks to 3 months of training. But it doesn't meet their budget. It doesn't meet the bottom line. It doesn't meet the projected goals. They have to get these people in and out. The only reason they have call centers is to stick a pacifier in the customer's mouth for a couple of minutes, to pacify them, to shut them up, so they don't have to deal with it at corporate. We're just basically little kids that they pay as bare bones minute as they can to shut the customer up. It's not about making them happy. It's about keeping them quiet. It's about customers, making customers think that they're being taken care of. Because your average person in the world is not swift enough to know all this stuff. I don't know if it's about intelligence, but I think it's about exposure to how maniacal these corporations are. Because think about it, if they really wanted to make the customer happy, they would do it. They would do everything in their power to make sure the turnover. You would think that Kenneth and Shelley or Michelle and Francois and all these schmucks would sit down at a big board meeting and say, hey, our turnover in our call centers is through the roof. Okay? At Kalispell, Montana, we've got a 1-for-1. Every one person we hire, one person quits. It's got to stop. What can we do to keep the people there? What can we do to pay them? How about Kenneth take $1 million pay cut and distribute that money just for Kalispell? Just, hey, you know what? Let's make this right. Let's make the people in our corporation happy. Let's make the people that work for me, that put me on the yacht in Tahiti with a leather mistress and the blow in my nose. Let's take some of that out and that money that I would use for socializing and put it into the pockets of the employees. Let's make sure they're trained. Let's make sure they have a working environment so we can cut back on the turnover, so we have intelligent, seasoned employees that have been there for 1, 2, 3 years that can handle a call in 1 to 2 minutes or 7 minutes, get the customer off the phone, get them happy, yada, yada, yada. They should want it, but they don't. There's no board meeting. The board meeting is, okay, how little can we pay them? What can we get away with that isn't quite violating any OSHA, violating any type of civil rights things. What can we do where we're just walking that tightrope that doesn't get us sued? What can we do? So what they do is they open up a call center in Kalispell, Montana. And you've got to ask yourself, this is another thing. How did they pick Kalispell? Now, I know all about this stuff. These corporations didn't just happen to pick Kalispell, Montana. There's lots of places to open a call center in the 50 states. All kinds of places. So what did they do? They have people that went out that did surveys. They looked at income. They looked at poverty levels. They looked at crime levels. They looked at real estate. They looked at taxes. They looked at all of these things. There's all kinds of analysis that went on years and years before they even opened up the call center. Okay? They look at demographics. You know, they look at male versus female, families, single moms versus single dads. The whole thing was a huge analysis. And they said, you know what? Maybe at the time they opened this call center in Kalispell, I think their taxes are pretty high in Kalispell, but they probably got a huge tax break from the local politicians. So there was a lot of wrangling, political wrangling behind the scenes. They gave them a huge tax break to open up this call center. And then they saw they had single parents that are desperate for an income, and they did a survey of somehow they had people probably go into the community. I don't know if you call them spies or what, but people to go in and just get to know people, and found out they're lonely. These are desperate people. These are people who are probably addicts and lonely and broke. And they'll work for bare bones minimums, promise them the earth, promise them the world, and just sell them a mud puddle. You promise them the universe, and you give them a mud puddle. And they're so desperate they'll take it. And I've been there, and these people are dark, nasty, maniacal, creepy people. These are not the kind of people you'd want your kids hanging out with. I don't care how many boats they have. I don't care how much money this guy makes. I don't care how many leather shirts Shelley Swanback has. I don't care. They don't lose an ounce of sleep over your poverty or your struggles in these call centers. They don't kick up their feet on their yacht with a glass of Chardonnay and go, you know what? I shouldn't be living like this. These poor people in Kalispell, Montana, they're just homeless, and the working conditions are terrible. You know what I should do? Hey, Jeeves, turn the yacht around. Let's get back to the States. I'm going to go fix this whole thing in Kalispell. They don't give a shit about you. They don't care about you at all. And if you think any of these people lose any sleep about your well-being, about your health, about your kids' health, about your dying mother or father of cancer, do you think any of them even go to bed at night thinking about you? You're crazy. Again, it's a male-dominated organization. What have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've got 12 executives. There's 2 women, 3 women out of 12. All the rest are all men. Roughly ages from probably 40. Probably this guy, if he was in high school in 78, he's probably approaching 70 now. Oh no, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there's 3 women. I can't begin to tell you enough. I'm going to ramble on for a little bit, but these companies do not care about you. And they come up with spirit coaches and floor walkers. It's all just a way to pacify you, to shut you up, to make you think you're going to get help on the phones. They're creating an impossible situation because they do not care about you, and they do not care about the customer. As long as they have a certain customer base that's paying the bills, that's all they care about. As long as the money's coming in, you know, and they can keep their client base, T-Tech's client base is not the people calling on the phones. It's the client that hired them. It's Bank of America. So if Bank of America is happy, and Bank of America perceives that they're getting good customer service from their BPO, from the reps that work for the BPO, then they go, okay, well, I'm going to go to bed tonight, kick up my feet in my yacht, and go from Tahiti over to, you know, I'll cruise on up to France there and have some caviar with my French compadres. It's a bunch of horseshit, people. It's all horseshit. And it just makes me want to vomit. It does. And vomiting's not going to do me any good now. I don't know what the answer is. So, well, that is T-Tech exposed. And they're exposing every call center. Every call center is like this. So, if you like my video, punch the thumbs up, subscribe. Have a good day. And Oingo Boingo gives you, he's my spirit champ.